And that leads me to our featured story of the night. All right, everybody. I want to talk about G.I. Joe for 1 second because I'm on this like 80s kick for things I've been seeing pop up, and I saw this G.I. Joe thing, and I was like, all right, we need to talk about this because if you ask me, all the movies have been absolute fucking shit, and I watched them, and I'm like, I didn't see Snake Eyes. I didn't see that. I bet Sabrina has something to say about that, but G.I. Joe, okay, the first one came out, The Rise of Cobra in 2009, Retaliation 2013. Now they're saying, and then the reboot, Snake Eyes 2021, and they spent $40 million for that. They made $40 million and they spent $88 million, so they lost their asses on that. Wow. So that wasn't good. And so when that happened, they had an idea for a TV show. But when that happened, that TV show with Amazon got pushed aside because they're like, what we can't do this. We just lost our asses on that. Well, the actual creator here from there, he said that we had that deal with Paramount and Amazon. It was going to be on Paramount Plus, apparently. It was going to be the first ones they wanted to have on there. But that fell through. But now the conversations are heating up. And they've been talking about this a lot, and there's a lot going on right now, he's saying, but they're talking about bringing G.I. Joe back to the big screen in another reboot now, and it's probably going to be that same concept that TV show was supposed to be, because Snake Eyes did so bad. It was supposed to span off of Snake Eyes before. There was a show called G.I. Joe Ever Vigilant that was going to come out to spawn off that, but then because Snake Eyes shit the bed, Hasbro said we can't do this, put it on the back burner. But now that Transformers is coming out, they're like, well, we got, everybody's going crazy about Transformers, Hasbro product, we got to do another G.I. Joe. So G.I. Joe is moving forward as a feature film, not a series, and it's coming back to theaters. Now, they tried it with Channing Tatum, and that fool, he hated it so much that he said, kill me off. He was contracted for 2 movies, like, kill me off as fast as possible. I'll do this fucking movie, but kill me off. They brought Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in. Didn't help. Bruce Willis was in that shit. You're like, oh, Bruce Willis in this too.
And Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson can't make it work. Nobody can make it work. Call it a fucking day, man.
It don't happen.
Who was it they had for Cobra Commander, the first one? It was such a strange
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Shut it down.
I was like,
I know.
Who the fuck cast Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
JGL, friend of the show.
Commander? And like, he had like that full body prosthetic on, so you couldn't even like see that it was him or whatever, and his voice was all altered, so it didn't matter anyway. And I was like, he is such a talented actor, and this is such a waste.
He's such a cupcake. You can't have him be.
I love me some Joe. He's so good.
He could have played that role well if they had like put him in the visor mask and they had put him in like the costume and let him like be that character.
Lexi, like, there's no playing the role well. The movie sucked balls.
Yeah, they didn't play Cobra Commander right. They
could not have saved that film.
There were so many things wrong with that first G.I. Joe movie. Like, why did they make every single character not the characters? Like, that's the thing. Like,
they did 100%.
Like, the toys. Nobody looked like anything. Like, these weren't even hard characters to make. They're literally just army characters with like a little bit of a modification here and there. I was like, and the second film was better than the first film, but
it was better.
Like, it was only better in action and like a little bit of like the fact that you had better actors here and there in it. But like the better actors weren't doing anything with the dialogue. They were just better actors, so they were just more enjoyable to watch. Like you said, like The Rock and the fact that you had Bruce Willis, and it's like, of course you have like a more enjoyable experience. They're good actors, but like they're not doing anything to carry the film. They're just there in action sequences being themselves. So it's like the films were really bad. Channing Tatum wasn't the problem with the first film. The first film was the problem with the first film. Like, it was a really fucking bad movie. And I was hyped. Like, I was like, did you see any of the animated sequences that they made for the release of the first G.I. Joe film? The, like, 10-minute snippets. Because they were creating these, like, animated 10-minute snippets that were coincided with the release of the film, and they were fucking amazing. I can't remember who the company was who they got to do them. They were incredible.
Like literally, that is what I was gonna say. Like, if you want to reboot G.I. Joe, do it in fucking cartoon form and do it like that.
Yeah, and they were like,
stop fucking around with this.
It was like some of the best animation I'd ever seen. Like, really great, like cell shading, like really good blending. It was so well done. And like the Snake Eye segments were excellent, and everything was done really well. And so these segments were all supposed to tie into the film, and then when you watch the film, if you hadn't have watched these animated segments, you were going to be lost when you went in the film. And you were, because those segments told you why Snake Eyes was doing the shit that he was doing in the film and all this stuff. But when you watch the movie, you're lost. So this movie's confusing if you didn't watch these 10-minute animated segments, which were amazing.
But also,
it was super confusing.
Animated segments were way better than any movie that they made.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It was kind of like, episode 1, when they let Jenny Tartakovsky make those 10-minute animated segments for the release of episode 1 ahead of time, and then the movie came out, and you're like, wow, what's this piece of shit?
This doesn't work at all.
But
even the Joseph Gordon-Levitt thing, though, Lexi, like, he's so good, and I feel like they shit the bed on him. They didn't even give him a chance to be good in that movie.
So much talent just dripping through the floorboards, like wasted in every single inch of that film. So many things, and I keep going, well, what about Transformers? I'm like, Transformers was literally sitting on a razor's edge of, this can be the biggest piece of shit ever or fucking awesome, and there is no middle ground with it, because it's literally based on a toy that goes from a car to a robot. There was no plot, there was no story, and let's be honest, G.I. Joe is military propaganda toys. That's all it is.
That's all it was.
Military propaganda toys.
For the 80s.
But then again, how fucking hard is this to make a movie? The military loves giving Hollywood billions of dollars to make.
Look at Top Gun.
Films. Hello, this movie should have been expensive as fuck, had a really great cast, had a really great writer behind it, had some of the best special effects behind it, had some of the coolest looking vehicles you ever fucking saw, because they've had so many cool looking toys. We should have seen nothing but cool fucking vehicles, great actors, great fucking everything. You should have been hyped as shit, and there should be 15 of these things already. I don't know
why it didn't work.
This is a fail.
Why it didn't work? Tom Cruise wasn't in it. We should have had Tom Cruise do this. He could have been the main person.
No.
No. Like seriously.
How are we to have the work, but no.
How are we at? How are we at 10 Fast and the Furious movies and we can't figure out how to get G.I. Joe going? It's not hard.
Real American hero.
Close. Yeah. G.I. came out in. I looked it up because I wanted to make a commentary. I wanted to be right. G.I. Joe started in 1963. So, what you have is a toy that was created pre-Vietnam. So the last major war we had been in was World War II. Korea was there, but who gives a shit about Korea? The last major war we were in was World War II. So you have the children of the soldiers of World War II playing with these toys during the peak of American exceptionalism. So America, again, like Lexi said, put out these propaganda military toys saying, we are the best. We are the American military. Are you going to fuck with us? We're great. We're a real American hero, G.I. Joe. And it was perfect for that time. It was revived in the 80s. It didn't make a lot of sense in the 80s, but it worked. Anytime past...
That's when the cartoon came out, right?
You had the cartoon in the 80s.
The cartoon's so good.
Because the toy sales had all but died at that point. So they put out the cartoon, sold more toys. And they changed G.I. Joe from just a average American soldier to a spec ops person.
But it's also a major redesign in the way the toys were made, too. They were shrunk down to a smaller size. The way that they created the figurines were different.
The original G.I. Joes were more doll size. They were closer to a Barbie doll size.
Yeah, they were big, yeah.
So what you have is this toy line that hasn't been relevant for quite a long time. The nature of war has changed. The way America views itself and the way the world views America has changed. And I don't think children these days, and even the adults who would be seeing this for nostalgia, really want to watch a piece of toy-based propaganda for the military, and that says, "Hey, America is the greatest," when we're suffering in the worst economy since the Great Depression.
So in the 90s,
conflicts, and it's just not appropriate for the time anymore.
In the late 90s,
I think you're
2000s.
making a lot more than it is. I really think. I don't think anyone's going to see G.I. Joe and thinking any of that shit, Rachel. I love you to death.
They're not conscientiously thinking about it, but people absorb media.
Here. I think that you're Right, like that it was a different time when they came out, and that obviously, like, that I just don't think that people give it that much thought. And like for people going to see this type of movie, it's like a like just an action film. Like there's gonna be shit blowing up, there's
Right.
gonna be
But if
people
it
fighting.
failed,
Like I don't think they think about it
how
in
is it
that
going to
context.
succeed with anyone else?
Oh, I agree with you. I think G.I. Joe's a piece of shit, and they should just reboot it in an animated form.
It filled with The Rock and Bruce Willis.
And
There you go.
Channing Tatum.
Film.
And Channing Tatum was very hot then. He was very hot back then. Like
he was very popular. Back then, it was huge.
I wanted to say before we got off subject, when these films came out, both of them, the first one and the second one, Snake Eyes was the popular character in every one of the films, and he was the character that stood out in each one of the films, both in the live action and the animated sequences. So when they were like, well, how can we make these films succeed? Because they had both of these films fail. They were like, Snake Eyes seems to be the best part of both of these films. So they were like, let's just make a fucking straight up Snake Eyes movie and invest like all of our money into Snake Eyes and see if we can get like our money back on the Snake Eyes itself. And when the Snake Eyes movie came out and that bombed, then they were like, I don't know what to do with this anymore. Because they were like, if this character isn't able to carry this franchise at this point anymore, because like this was the character they were riding on, like bringing this up and like having it succeed, then they were like, I don't fucking know anymore.
If they want
I worked on that Snake Eyes movie. Go ahead.
Did you?
No, you go ahead. Yours
Sabrina worked on that.
Directly related to what Lexi was saying.
No, I worked. They did reshoots because they shot all over the place, but they did reshoots for like 2 weeks or so. And I stood in for Samara Weaving. She played Scarlet.
Okay.
And so she was a super nice person. First of all, which I always like to advocate for people who are nice. And we filmed almost a whole entire day of her kicking the crap out of these dudes in this bathroom. And I was like, this is so badass. Funny. I didn't see the movie, and I'm sorry for that. So I can't say if it was terrible or not.
Yeah, I think most people didn't see
came
the movie.
across
I didn't see
it. But when I was
I think we gave up at that point.
I actually really wanted to see it.
Like I really thought I was like, this might be it. And I even I was like, this seems like it could be really good. So I'm really bummed that it didn't do well.
If they want G.I. Joe to succeed and they want this style of film to succeed, I think they need to go towards the more modern, relevant form of getting kids excited about the military with, oh my god, Call of Duty. That's what I was trying to think of. Call of Duty is what the kids want to play if they're playing military toys now. They don't give a shit about G.I. Joe. They want to play Call of Duty.
The name's not relevant. Go get Jason Lin to do it. One of the the Fast and the Furious directors. Go get a competent action director. Go get a competent
James
writer
Gunn.
Behind it.
Michael Bay.
James Gunn's busy.
You know what? Michael Bay was an excellent choice for it. I don't know now at this point.
Not anymore.
But you know what? I know people don't like them. I think his Ninja Turtle movies are good, especially the second one. I think that when you first initially heard what he was doing with Ninja Turtles, that was shit. But when he got, the same thing with Sonic, when they showed us the first picture of Sonic, and they were like, fuck. When you heard what Michael Bay was doing, people were like, fuck. He went, okay, I understand what you want. That second Ninja Turtles movie, I don't know why anybody was mad at that, because anybody who's a fan of the original cartoon series growing up, that second Ninja Turtles movie from Michael Bay gave us everything that every movie didn't give us growing up. That movie gave us Krang. That movie gave us Bebop and Rocksteady. That movie gave us fucking everything. The movie was excellent. When Michael Bay wants to, I love the Transformers movies. I think they're great. I don't think there's a problem with them. I think they're pretty much exactly what you want Transformers movies. 2 fucking robots banging into each other and turning into fucking cars. Like, what more do you want? Like, when a movie is based on a toy series, as long as you're like pretty well able to follow like the story that's there, because G.I. Joe's got a story. There's some story there. Transformers also has a story. Stick with it. They're doing it. It's there. It's not deep.
It's not deep.
Find the Allspark.
It's based on a fucking toy. Like, what do you want? Like, they're not deep fucking stories, but like follow the lore good enough. Give me a great fucking expensive as shit action spectacle with a bunch of robots and shit, like whatever. This movie's going to be a bunch of, I want to see weird looking vehicles that I've never seen before. I want to see laser guns. I want to see cyber ninjas. I want to see, like, this is what G.I. Joe gives to me. Give it to me. Why is that fucking hard? I wasn't even allowed to watch that show when I was growing up because my mom said it was too violent and I wasn't allowed to watch it. But I'll tell you, as an adult, I will absolutely watch a G.I. Joe movie because
that was rare for
cyber
parents
ninjas and fucking weird looking vehicles. Right, but like, look at what it is. It's just overblown, crazy, batshit insane stuff. It's just more of what I want from a Hollywood action film. G.I. Joe shouldn't be hard to do. It shouldn't be a failure.
It shouldn't be.
We should have, like I said, a billion of these fucking movies. We should have a line of action stars in these movies. There's tons of great actors. It should be super
easy to turn these out. It really should.
You can turn out a rotating cast of people. You can bring people back, but they don't always have to be in the same movies every single time because G.I. Joe is a huge cast of characters.
Yeah, like, but the kids don't care. They want to play Call of Duty. They don't give a shit about G.I. Joe.
Well, I mean, but like,
it's not about the name isn't relevant on it, right?
You just make it good.
Relevant on it. Make a good action movie. You know what? Make it Call of Duty and just put G.I. Joe's name on it. It won't matter.
That's exactly what you make it like Call of Duty. Kids will care again. But if you try to do the G.I. Joe thing, they're not going to give a shit.
And make them care for the characters.
Call of Duty. It's full of cybernetic weird shit and all kinds of like crazy like whatever. Like Snake Eyes. Like Snake Eyes is the coolest fucking character ever.
But also, people don't die in the G.I. Joe verse, so that gives it a really weird sort of. They didn't used to
die all the time. They die in the movie. Characters, dude. That was why the original G.I. Joe movie, the animated one that came out in the 80s. That's why that movie was so controversial because they killed characters in it, and they went, "Oh my god, we shouldn't have done this. Why did we do this?" And they did it in the fucking Transformers movie. They went, "Oh my god, we killed more characters. Why did we do this?" Because it upset kids, and kids came out of movies crying, and they were like, "Why do we keep doing this? We keep making kids cry. We can't do this. We can't keep killing." Their action.
Well, they killed Bambi for fuck's sake. I mean, come on.
It worked now, though. You can scare kids and everybody now. Now the world's an open ball game for that shit.
I
just think this could be good, but I'm just like, you've already failed so many times. Like we're saying, such an easy IP to make work, I think, is make it a really good action movie, get the right director on board, and then slap on G.I. Joe and call it a day. But unfortunately, they haven't been able to figure it out, and I don't know if they can still do it. I don't have faith in it. I don't have faith in it, but it's going to happen.
Robert Rodriguez.
How are you going to
Robert Rodriguez will fix it all.
I'm into that.
How are you going to make a G.I. Joe movie that's rated anything under PG-13?
I'm into that.
I've resolved it. I've fixed it all. Robert Rodriguez is the solution.
Bambi was food. Oh, jeez.
He was food.
But anyways, everybody, G.I. Joe is coming. Whether you're excited about it or not excited about it, this is happening. And they're just going to keep trying to bank off this IP until they get it right. And then maybe one day they will and they'll be excited about the franchise. But until then, it's a fart in the wind.